The Galactic Military Academy sprawled across 3 moons of Nexus Prime, a testament to the unity of 17 species who had finally learned to coexist after centuries of war. But unity, Captain Mira Thane had learned, was a fragile thing, especially when predators grew hungry. She stood in the observation deck overlooking Training Ground 7, her hand resting on Shadow's muscular neck. The wolf's silver-gray fur bristled slightly, his amber eyes tracking movement that Mira's human senses couldn't yet detect. Shadow had been with her since Earth's integration day, a gift from the Terra Defense Corps, one of only 12 bonded warwolves in active service. Captain Thane, the Vrix delegation has arrived. Lieutenant Corso's voice crackled through her comlink. The Antarian officer sounded tense. They're requesting to tour the cadet training facilities. Mira's jaw tightened. The Vrix, apex predators from a death world where everything evolved with fangs, claws, and an insatiable hunger. They had joined the Galactic Coalition only 5 cycles ago, and their integration had been problematic. Acknowledged. I'll meet them at the main entrance. Shadow whined softly, a sound that meant danger. She trusted that instinct more than any sensor array. The Vrix ambassador stood nearly 3 meters tall, her chitinous exoskeleton gleaming obsidian under the Academy's artificial suns. Beside her, 2 younger Vrix, barely adolescent by their species standards, shifted restlessly. Their mandibles clicked in a rhythm Mira recognized as excitement. Ambassador Krisha, Mira greeted formally, her hand still on Shadow's collar. The wolf remained perfectly still, but she could feel the coiled tension in his muscles. Captain Thane. The ambassador's translator rendered her voice as smooth and diplomatic. My offspring wish to observe your training methods. The Vrix matriarchy is considering expanding our military exchange program. Offspring. Cubs. Mira studied the 2 younger Vrix with a soldier's eye. They were each still twice her size, their razor-sharp appendages barely concealed beneath ceremonial wrappings. On their homeworld, cubs this age would be hunting prey larger than shuttlecraft, of course. However, our cadets are currently engaged in live combat scenarios. I must insist on safety protocols. We are predators, Captain. Krisha's mandibles spread in what might have been amusement. We do not fear your training exercises. That wasn't what worried Mira. Training Ground 7 erupted in controlled chaos. 50 cadets from a dozen species engaged in tactical urban warfare simulations, their stunners set to heavy stun, their armor recording every hit for post-exercise analysis. Among them, Mira spotted Cadet Chen and Cadet Vexillar, a human and a Glesian working in perfect synchronization as they cleared a mock building. The Vrix cubs watched from the elevated platform, their bodies unnaturally still. Mira had seen that stillness before, in predators sizing up prey. Shadow's growl was so low only she could hear it. Then it happened. The smaller cub lunged forward, vaulting the safety barrier with frightening speed. Its target. A cluster of cadets pinned down in a narrow corridor, their backs exposed. The simulation had stripped away their awareness of anything except their objective. Mira's training overrode thought. She sprinted forward, Shadow a gray blur beside her. The cub's claws extended, real and lethal as it descended toward Cadet Chen's unprotected neck. Shadow, restrain. The wolf launched himself like a guided missile. 100 kilograms of Earth-evolved predator meeting alien apex hunter mid-leap. They collided with bone-jarring force, Shadow's jaws clamping around the cub's primary forearm without puncturing the exoskeleton. He twisted, using momentum and technique taught through countless hours of training, redirecting the Vrix away from the cadets. The second cub shrieked and charged. Mira intercepted, her neural-linked combat suit amplifying her human strength to alien competitive levels. She caught the cub's striking limb, redirected, and used its own momentum to slam it into the reinforced wall. Not hard enough to injure, hard enough to shock. Stand down. Her voice carried the weight of command that had silenced warlords. This is Galactic Military Academy property, and you are assaulting cadets under my protection. Shadow maintained his grip, his teeth of vice around the first cub's arm. His eyes never left the ambassador, who had frozen at the barrier's edge. The training ground had gone silent. 50 cadets stood at attention, weapons raised. Automated defenses hummed to life, tracking systems locked onto the cubs. Ambassador Krisha descended slowly, her movement deliberate. Release my offspring, human. When they stand down, Mira replied evenly, and not before. The standoff stretched for heartbeats that felt like hours. Then finally, both cubs retracted their claws and went limp in submission, a universal signal even among the most alien species. Shadow release. The wolf opened his jaws and backed away, positioning himself between Mira and the cubs. Not a single mark marred the Vrik's exoskeleton, but the message had been delivered clearly. Krisha studied Mira with compound eyes that revealed nothing. You did not kill them. You could have. We're soldiers, not murderers, Mira said quietly. But we are also not prey. The ambassador's mandibles clicked in a new pattern, one Mira's translator labeled as respect. The matriarchy has misunderstood humans, Krisha admitted. We saw your soft skin, your blunt teeth, your weak claws. We thought you survived through technology alone. She gestured toward Shadow, who sat calmly beside Mira despite the adrenaline still coursing through both of them. But you survived your own death world by making predators into partners, by teaching restraint to creatures of fang and claw, by being stronger than you appear. Mira met the ambassador's gaze steadily. Humanity learned long ago that true strength isn't about domination. It's about protection. We fought our way to the top of Earth's food chain, not by being the strongest predators, but by being the most adaptable survivors. She looked down at Shadow, whose tail wagged once, his signal that the danger had passed. And we never hunt alone. The incident report took hours to file. The Vrik's cubs were confined to the diplomatic quarters, their youthful enthusiasm officially noted. Unofficially, the galaxy now understood something crucial. Humans might lack claws and armor, but they possessed something far more dangerous: loyalty, tactical brilliance, and the ability to turn even wolves into warriors of mercy. As Mira walked Shadow through the Academy gardens that evening, Cadet Chen approached, saluting sharply. Captain, I wanted to thank you. That cub would have learned a hard lesson, Mira interrupted gently, about underestimating humans and their companions. Shadow nuzzled the cadet's hand, accepting the grateful scratch behind his ears. Above them, 17 species flags fluttered in the artificial breeze. Somewhere among those banners, humanity's blue and green earth flew proudly, a reminder that the softest-looking species could have the hardest bite. Because humans didn't just survive. They protected. They adapted. They fought back, and they never, ever fought alone.